this huge organization that he built just at the young age of 18 years old. So, I mean, his legacy is really going to leave a lasting impact.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Mantle. I'm joined today by congressional reporter Samantha-Jo Roth. And SJ, we've had the recent tragedy with Charlie Kirk, important conservative activist, was a political assassination. Kirk was really important in the last election in terms of getting out Republican voters and really competing with the Democrats' field operation. You've done some coverage of that. Talk a little bit about what his significance was.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely significant. We went down to the Turning Point Action offices in Phoenix. We saw their entire operation. I think it really just started on college campuses and a lot of these different organizational efforts of registering voters, which we've seen, Republicans expand their registration nationwide over the last 10 years.
Right.
But it really also just transitioned over the last couple of years into the podcast, the video space. And what we saw when we went to Phoenix was we saw, so many different studios and podcasting and videos, and they have really, what Charlie Kirk has created has been seen by millions of people online. And that, and he was really at the forefront of all of that. So, this is just an immense loss for that community, for the conservative movement, and for so many people that I've spoken with who have said, Charlie really made being young and conservative cool again. He used to not be cool on college campuses, and there has been a new space and acceptance for that, and so that certainly is something that is part of his legacy. A lot of people really do credit Trump's re-election with Kirk's organizational effort and muscle. We went door knocking with some of these volunteers in Phoenix, and they really had such impressive understanding of their neighborhoods. They were targeting those low propensity voters. They had some of these volunteers that are centered, the people that they're knocking on the doors, they're knocking on doors of neighbors and friends and people that they already know. So it was extremely organized. I don't anticipate that that's going to change.
Sure.
But, just this huge organization that he built just at the young age of 18 years old. So, I mean, his legacy is really going to leave a lasting impact.
What are you hearing in terms of what's going to happen next? Because obviously all that organizational infrastructure still exists.
Right. I think, we have been not hearing directly from those who are closest to him, which includes the Turning Point Action leadership. Obviously somebody else is going to have to be the figurehead of that. But we have also heard, that his legacy is going to live on. His actions, his motivation is going to live on. Who exactly is going to be taking over those question and answer sessions on college campuses, and what the security is going to look like? That's going to be another question. But certainly the people that we've spoken with have said, those especially who are close to him have said, like, Charlie would have wanted us to, continue on his legacy and asking those questions and being willing to engage in those conversations. What that's going to look like, nobody really knows, since it's, this all occurred, less than 24 hours ago.
Sure. Very fast moving. So obviously next year the House is very much in play in the midterm elections, but Democrats have some hopes that they can be competitive in the race for the Senate. Republicans have a bigger majority there, but Democrats are already starting to enter into some of these key races, and you've written about some of this recently.
Yeah, Democrats are definitely trying, they're really looking at this map. They're having some of, the more experienced members who are launching campaigns. Obviously Roy Cooper is one of them in North Carolina. We also are definitely seeing, several people in Texas. It's going to be an interesting race. I think they're really hoping that the conditions of a midterm election in which the president is not usually very popular in his party are really going to favor them. We also, I think a lot of people are still questioning whether Ohio is actually competitive, but we are having
Right.
Sherrod Brown back in, the former senator. So there are some more experienced Democrats who are getting in the race. But there are definitely some messy primaries on both sides as well.
Mm-hmm. So North Carolina obviously has been a very closely fought state for a while, but Democrats, in an attempt to expand the map, are really looking at what we've traditionally thought of as red states and hoping that they could knock off somebody there. So you've got places like Texas and Iowa. Are they really anticipating a big enough blue wave to make places like that viable?
I mean, I think they're certainly hoping so. If you're Democrats, I mean, you have a really tough map. They are defending a lot more seats than the Republicans are. But I think they are looking at Iowa, seeing that, Senator Joni Ernst is no longer running.
Right.
Ashley Hinson, the representative who has already launched her campaign, is not as well known across the state. So they are looking at Iowa. They're even looking at Florida,
right,
with Ashley Moody. So, whether or not these are long shots are an open question. Texas is also interesting too. They do see this Cornyn-Paxton face-off to be something that they are watching. They truly do believe that if Paxton is able to win this GOP primary and boot Cornyn, that they will have a better shot in a place like Texas. Whether or not is still an open question, but Democrats are looking at the map and hoping to see some change. Yeah.
So the recent tragedy in Charlotte with the young woman who was murdered on a subway train has become an issue in the North Carolina Senate race as Cooper's been governor there. Talk a little bit about how that's played out.
So it's, this week we've seen a lot of the back and forth on Twitter, or X.
Yes, X.
I think it all started with Michael Whatley, the Republican, who, basically blamed Governor Roy Cooper for this happening, saying that the suspect who may be responsible for this had been released 14 different times for different charges. A lot of Republicans are pointing back to this commission that Roy Cooper set up in the wake of George Floyd, saying that it encouraged, lax crime and such.
Permissive on crime.
Yeah, exactly. That is still kind of up in the air. I will say that I've spoken even to some Republicans in the state who believe, a commission is a commission. A lot of times things are not happening in a commission. It's mostly symbolic.
Sure.
However, it is, it just shows you how much more scrutiny Roy Cooper is going to have in this in this Senate election.
Right.
Governors have had a little bit, Democratic governors in the state of North Carolina have gotten away with a lot more than maybe they have in a Senate race. So you certainly are seeing Republicans zeroing in on this commission, trying to point the blame back at Roy Cooper. And, this is a strategy that a lot of Republicans say could work because the tough on crime message is something that obviously very much reverberates across party lines, and it really does get Republicans up and out and very motivated.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they turn him out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, SJ.
Thank you.
You can read Samantha-Jo and the rest of our political team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.